Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to look at what I think is the most exciting thing that can possibly happen. There's a reason these are my favorite 2 days of the year, this Thursday and Friday, and it's because of the potential upsets. Today we're going to look at three teams. We're going to look at Charleston, Samford, and Mcneese State. These three teams, A, are very good. They're legitimate teams. And B, I think they have a good chance to get a first round upset despite being the lesser known school. I also believe that this year will be the single most upsets in all of NCAA history, and the reason behind that is pretty simple. It's the transfer portal. It allows essentially skill to be spread out more evenly across all of college basketball, but we're going to look at these three teams in particular and look at what stands them apart. Let's go. All right, the first team we're looking at is Charleston. Charleston beat Stony Brook to go to the NCAA tournament. They won in overtime. Very exciting game. Charleston is coached by Pat Kelsey. So all of these coaches, I'm going to say, are future elite coaches. This is how I found Nato. This is how I found Chris Beard. This is how I found Porter Moser. All those coaches that are now at really top level schools, I found them by essentially going and seeing schools that are relative no names that have done really well and look at their coaching record and see that they've played really well in the past. So essentially, Pat Kelsey has dominated every single place he's been a head coach at, which is a good sign that you know he's a high-level coach. Okay? One thing Charleston does really well is on offense, they space the floor really well, and they're not hesitant to shoot it. They have some very good shooters, and when they get open shots, they do not hesitate. One absolutely has the green light. He shoots some unbelievable shots and forces the defense to close out, which I absolutely love, this extending the range. And the single next possession, they're pushing the ball ahead in transition. We're going to look for the exact same thing. Where do they go? Shooter, 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 spread around the court. Force the defense to guard you away from the basket. I think it's crucial. You get an open look, you don't hesitate, you simply shoot the ball. Absolutely love it. Charleston plays Alabama, and while I think Alabama's a very good team, Alabama has also struggled in a fair bit of games. So this is, I believe, Charleston has a decent chance of getting this upset, and we could potentially see our first Cinderella in Charleston versus Alabama. Our second team is Samford. So one thing I absolutely love is when teams bring something to the game that is new that other teams haven't seen a whole lot of. That creates just a little bit of chance to catch teams off guard because they're not ready for it. You only have 3 days to cover it in practice, etc. And Samford 100% does this. They're coached by Bucky McMillan. Again, you look at his track record, win, 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 win. No matter where he's gone, he's had success, absolutely. And they play Kansas. Kansas also has struggled a fair bit of late, and so I think this one is potentially ripe for an upset as well. All right, so what is this unique style that Samford plays with? Okay, they are quick, fast, and they push the ball aggressively in transition, and they have a defense that complements that. Boom, you push the ball ahead. This is a high-level pass across the court. Defense is nowhere near ready, and a lot of teams would be like, oh, don't shoot that three. He's like, nah, shoot it. You got an open shot, shoot that ball again, just push it in transition. And then what do they immediately flow into? There is no hesitation. They know exactly what they're doing. They are pressing off the inbounds immediately to catch the defense off guard. Force them to play at your pace, make them throw a risky pass while you're coming downhill, get the steal, and get fouled at the rim. One thing I will say is Kansas doesn't probably match up with this team very well because they want to play in transition, they want to be athletic, and Samford does as well. And Kansas, frankly, just has better athletes. But if Samford can force them to speed up, maybe make Hunter Dickinson rush in transition, maybe make Furphy rush in transition, they have a chance to potentially exploit some of them. Again, we can see on the made free throw, this is the exact same possession where they immediately start doing pressing right away. Okay? Denying this early pass, I love that. Making this player make a difficult decision on where he's going to pass it. Okay? Again, he forces it in. However, the person on the ball is immediately ready for that. And is being aggressive with it, and if you make a bad pass, he's simply going to steal it, or I'm guessing he's going to go double this pass as well. Quick steal, and immediately forces the turnover, making them to do essentially just forcing them to make difficult decisions one way or the other. And then when they get the ball in the half court, do they simply back off and start protecting the rim? No, they still are aggressive. Pressure, 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 force them to make a bad decision, and it leads to the flush. A beautiful dunk by 14. So they have athletic ability. They have the right system that complements that. I believe Samford is an exciting team. I'm telling you, Kansas versus Samford, even though Samford doesn't have the great style against Kansas, that's going to be an exciting and fun game, 100%. And then we get to the final team, and I think this team has the single best chance to upset their first round matchup in Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a good team still. They're not as good as they usually are, but Mcneese State is so good for being from the Southland Championship Conference. Like, frankly, not a great conference, and they absolutely dominated though. 29-3, 17-1. That's legitimate. So this coach, you might recognize him. His name is Will Wade. He was the coach at LSU before they had recruiting violations and he got fired. So that tells you, A, he's a really good coach. B, they have pretty solid athletes. They have pretty solid players. I mean, the transfer portal probably helped his recruiting abilities in the first place. And they have some crazy good athletes across the board. They play good offense and good defense. They're the highest ranked of these three as far as KenPom goes. They look to get the ball to the inside, and as soon as you punish off, they're going to attack or they're going to shoot open shots when they're given the availability. They do a great job of keeping the ball moving. And if they get the ball to the inside, they're going to try and kick it out, punish you on the inside, or kick it out and punish you from afar. And 5 is a stereotypical, that's a big man right there. And he shot that ball, did not hesitate, and that was a good looking shot. Again, they are very well coached, and they run these little flex screens quite often, which is just a simple way to get into your action. We can see the cross screen and then the screen for the guy coming up as well. And they just use this to get open looks and get their players driving downhill because they're so athletic, and because if you help off, they have decent shooters that can punish you from the outside as well. They are a very, very well-rounded team. And another thing I love is when they get the ball, they're looking to attack ahead on the inbounds no matter what. If the defense is confused, like 13 is looking the wrong way right here, this player is looking the wrong way as well, you can really punish them in transition with elite quick guards like One is right here. One is very, very fast. Doesn't shoot it super well, but his explosion when he gets downhill is very, very high. So right there, he just burns his defender, gets slightly confused whether it's a screen or not because they're worried about him as a shooter, whether this is a switch or not, and just attacks downhill. And he could really give some issues to Gonzaga's guards for sure. So in conclusion, Charleston, Samford, and Mcneese State, I think all have a very real chance of upsetting in the first round of the NCAA tournament or potentially even going further. They're all legit teams, but overall this should be a very exciting March Madness, 100%. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like and subscribe, and have a blessed rest of your day.